Hello, everyone. Before I get into this topic, I just want to say that I have a sore throat, and obviously, this will make my speech slurred, and obviously, I may swallow some words, so I apologize in advance. I developed this miserable sore throat yesterday afternoon. So, my favorite thing to do is watch people talk about books and comic books and showcase these massive compilations of them, and it's so wonderful to hear their enthusiasm for these stories. And obviously it's inspirational in many ways. And obviously you get to know that there's an audience for stuff like that. So obviously I would like to create a anthology horror comic book series. And I like horror, but at the same time this one will be really interesting because it'll be an ongoing series. And having it in comic book form will be wonderful. So, obviously, starting off, let's talk about reoccurring monsters. So, I think that would be an interesting thing to do. Just have a few of them, but not overuse them. There should be a limit to how many times I can use them. And I want there to be new monsters, not based on the canon that we already have or any kind of cultural canon. I want there to be new monsters, new myths, new legends, and obviously with these monsters, I can make variants and subspecies of them. See how well Monster Hunter inspires me? Okay, so for example, uh, for example, let's just say I have a monster that bleeds through its scales, and a variant of that will be it bleeds through its scales, but poisonous blood is coming out, and a subspecies can live in a different place, but at the same time, it could be slightly smaller or slightly larger, have slight altered appearances, but at the end of the day, it'll share the very similar build to this, and obviously have very similar behavior, but just completely different in some ways. Hopefully that makes sense. So, it's very good to do stuff like this, obviously. Then, speaking about reoccurring characters, I'm thinking about this. I don't know if this will be a good thing, but think of them as actors, really. You're putting them in different roles, but obviously you can't reuse them once you kill them, because then that would just undermine the story you told. So it's best to have them till death, but also I feel like I feel like then uh, there's going to be this build up of lore going on, and that's going to really take away from what people want to read, because what if they just start a random issue? Does it mean that they have to go way back and then read it? So I feel like with these characters, I either have to just give them a personality, likes and dislikes, so they can interact with the comic, but at the same time, um, at the same time, I don't want there to be any kind of major development happening, in the stories, if I'm going to keep them reoccurring, because then people will have to check the previous one and see this type of stuff. I want people to enjoy the characters for their personality. I don't want the needle to move. But unless they die. If they die, then sorry, they're dead. Uh, so yeah, that's interesting. But also, I was thinking about this. How about reoccurring background characters? Not because I want to reuse them to save time, but you can have a separate mystery going on in the background, and a lot of people can piece it together. I think that would be phenomenal. And sometimes you can have a lot of red herrings. That's fantastic. You know, that would just be lovely. Anyways, art style, I don't want it to be like a grossed out art style. Sure, there will be certain scenes that will depict certain like blood or gore or something of the sort, but the art style, I want it to look pleasant. I want it to look good. So yeah, obviously I want this to be a good series. And in my previous video, I spoke about having two segments, A and B segments, because when it comes to like printing out books and then sending them to the National Library, it's going to be really difficult to have just separate stories. It's best to keep the same like two or three stories in one. if they have the same amount of pages. Like if this one has 60 pages, then this should also have 60 pages, instead of keeping them separate and selling them separate. I think it's best to put it together. That will just save me a lot of effort of, instead of just me, you know, posting the stuff to the National Library. I can just save time. But even if I wasn't posting it to the National Library, I still think this is a good idea. You get two stories in one. That's fantastic. So, anyways, tell me, what do you think about this? So, obviously, there will be restrictions to what I will and will not do, and this goes for any story, really. It's good to have restrictions. You know, I love fan service, but at the same time, I will restrict it for certain stories. And I feel like, when it comes to fan service, it's a spectrum, really. You can choose how heavy you want it or how light you want it. And in this case, I feel like, being somewhere close to the middle, it will be interesting. So that will be fantastic. So not much fan service, but it's gonna be there, and yeah, that'll be interesting. So when it comes to anything else, I would say I really want to keep, like personal politics out, or divisive politics. Like you can have like your stereotypical government or whatever, but at the same time, it's like I don't want to be using this as a vehicle for my politics. But at the end of the day, I can just create something separate to do that instead. So obviously, no politics. What else? Really, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe I'm wrong with this. Maybe I will end up just inserting a few like social commentary instead. But then it shouldn't be heavy. It really shouldn't be heavy at all. So yeah, but maybe instead of social commentary, maybe there'll be themes, really good themes of the story, of the various stories that could be, expressed in various ways. And yeah, so maybe not politics, but maybe just have themes instead. Anyways, thanks so much for watching this video. It's a bit of a long one, and it's a bit of a messy one just thinking of it, but it's a fun one. Look at this. This looks beautiful. Anyways, bye bye.